bring your heart today.
Yes, sir.
Bring your heart today.
Yes, sir. We gotta be the reason why we win. We are the reason.
Yes,
Believe it.
For the first time ever, the Steelers and Patriots face off in an opener. Play action fake pass over the middle, broken up and intercepted. Tipped into the air and pulled in by Jalen Mills. Here's the snap. Late blitz. He throws it long down the field and it's intercepted by Minka. He took advantage of a mistake by Mac Jones. Caught for the touchdown. You gotta be kidding me. And Gunner drops it. And it's a touchdown for Damian Harris. Touchdown! And that's Pat Fryermuth. 3rd and 3 for New England at the Pittsburgh 20. And he's going to fire in there and get the first downs, and that's it. New England defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers 17-14.
Here we go.
This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown.
That's the way to work. Come on.
He's hit and sacked. The Steelers win the football game.
Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi everybody, welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. The Steelers offense only scored 1 touchdown in their overtime win in Cincinnati, which turned out okay thanks to a stellar performance by the team's defense and special teams. But fast forward to week 2, same scenario for the offense, but a few key plays gave the New England Patriots a chance to take the lead and hold on to it. For more on what went wrong in the team's home opener and how they can rebound in time for Thursday night football, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's with Coach Tomlin. Guys.
Thank you very much, Missy. It is a short week for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns. Right off the bat, week 3, you have a divisional matchup on a Thursday night. Head coach Mike Tomlin with us, and I know that presents enough challenges on a short week, but a division game on a short week, I would imagine, is even more.
It is, but it's tough for both teams. But, these division games are weighted so heavily. I think that's why it has our attention. But it's a challenging circumstance for both groups, and from that standpoint, it's fair. I know that we'll be ready to rock and roll Thursday night.
All right, let's talk about what happened against New England. 2 offensive touchdowns in 2 games. Obviously, there's an issue or 2 there. What is the biggest problem with this group moving down the field and scoring touchdowns?
It's just a splash. We're working to develop cohesion and to produce the type of splash plays that good units make. And week 1, obviously, environmentally, we had issues. Last week, we just didn't make enough splash plays, really, not only on offense, but on defense and in special teams. And when you play one-possession games like we've been in, you need those splash plays, particularly in the waning moments.
We talked to a lot of players after the game. A lot of them were talking about not getting enough opportunity down the field. How much of that is scheme, execution of the scheme? Is it a little bit of both?
Sometimes it's those things, and sometimes it's the personality of the teams that you play. We knew that plays down the field were going to be challenging against New England because they play with a lid on it. And they got a guy back there named McCourty. He's 35 years old, who's the active interception leader in the game. And he's made a career of making 90-degree angle breaks and picking balls off down the field. So from some games, what can be described as splash might be different than other games. Some games is over the top and taking the lid off people. Some games it's that 15 to 20 yard strike. And this past week going in against New England, we knew a splash play was that 15 to 20 yard strike because of McCourty and the style of play that they have.
There were a lot of checkdowns, it seemed, in this game. Is that by design, or is that something Mitch Trubisky can do on his own?
Again, a lot of it has to do with the style of play that New England plays. They were looking up deep crossers and stuff, and there were several instances where you saw Najee seemingly by himself. And so, if they want to give you those free yards, you take it. They were trying to keep a lid on it. They wanted to play things top down, but that is their style of play. We got to be patient when faced with an opponent like that.
You're patient pretty much with your starting quarterback. How long does that go if things continue to go in this direction?
We're 2 weeks in. I'm not even in the neighborhood of having discussions like that, man. I'm more concerned about our collective growth and development and what we're putting together in terms of what we desire to do to engineer victory, and he's just simply a component of it.
Defense largely kept them out of the end zone. There was one play right before halftime, which I know coaches don't like to see, 44 yards. Tell us about that play, and even though Witherspoon was in position, what didn't he do?
That guy played the ball above eye level and Spoon didn't. And I think that's the value of 6'2" corners like Spoon. And so he's got to make that play. And it's as simple as that. Plays above eye level down the grass are a critical component of the ball. That's why we have wideouts that look like Chase Claypool and George Pickens.
Yeah, speaking of Pickens, he's only been targeted a few times, 2 catches. How do you get him more involved moving forward?
You know, it's just a general growth process. He's new to us. We're new to the utilization of him. We've had some looks in game that we hadn't gotten. There's some other looks, obviously, that you'd like us to take. And so it's a developmental process. We're just kind of going through it.
The other part of the defense was at the end of the game, New England did not give the ball back, and they ran the ball, I think, 6 straight times, 8 out of 10. Was that a byproduct of them being on the field too much, your defense, as opposed to execution?
No, we don't seek comfort there. You know, we got to get ourselves off the field. I think that's the signature of any good defense. They don't have control over when and how they get on the field. They got all the control over how they get off the field. And New England did a really good job, and we didn't make the significant plays in the waning moments of the game, whether it was on defense or offense.
Tell us about the effect of T.J. Watt not having him in there. I know there's a few blitzes that you didn't get to Mac Jones. What do you try to do without number 90 in that lineup?
You know, again, back to style of play. And given how things transpired a week ago, we knew that it wouldn't be plenty of opportunities to purely rush the passer in a drop back capacity. That's just New England style of play. They reduced the game. It was a reduced possession game. They ran the ball, they rhythm passing, and so you're not going to get a lot of quarterback pressures or sacks under those circumstances. While at the same time, you should do a good job of keeping the point total down, and they in turn shouldn't have a lot of splash. New England didn't have a lot of splash on offense. We didn't have a lot of splash on defense, and stylistically, it kind of boiled down to those scenarios.
And when that happens, Coach, obviously big plays and special teams can make or break a game. And in this game, we saw Gunnar Olszewski, muff a punt. But there also were 10 guys on the field at the time. Talk about that and how big of a play that is in a game like this.
It's a huge play, but we have mechanisms in place, particularly the early portions of the year. You never want to have 10 guys on the field, but Gunnar's supposed to count the heads back there and fair catch the football and keep himself out of harm's way. We didn't get either done, and so there's consequences for that.
Plus there was a penalty at the end of that, which moved the ball to
I'm
the
less
10-yard
concerned
line.
about the penalty and more concerned about the 10 on the field and the muff punt.
It was just one of those plays, though, that everything went wrong, it seemed, at the wrong time. And again, in games like that can be a big problem.
No doubt.
All right, we have Cleveland coming up here. It's on a Thursday night, which means it's a short week, and you got to make adjustments. What about the Browns? They lost their game last week in dramatic style. We'll talk about them and the task at hand going to Cleveland. Missy will do that when we return.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. Not a great week in general for the AFC North. The Steelers and Browns both looking to rebound, and they will do so as they clash for the first time this season in primetime. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, how did the Steelers stop the running tandem of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? Coach Tomlin gives us a scouting report on Cleveland. We'll be right back.
Chubb in for the Browns, touchdown. Flacco wide open, it's Davis. Davis waltzes in for the touchdown. It's onside kick, he goes near side of the field. Who's got it? It's still loose. Now they say Jets football. Flacco over the middle, it's caught. Touchdown, Garrett Wilson. And the Jets turning the lights out on the Browns.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Tomorrow will mark the 5th meeting between Pittsburgh and Cleveland on Thursday night. They are tied with 2 wins apiece in their previous 4 meetings. And like the Steelers, the Browns have a different quarterback than the last time these two teams met, but their run game remains the same. For more on what the Steelers can expect tomorrow, let's send it back over to Bob and Coach. Guys.
Hey, Missy, thanks very much. Browns Steelers right off the bat, week 3 on a Thursday night in Cleveland. Coach, you've been there on Thursday nights before. A lot of electricity, although Cleveland's coming off a tough loss as well. In fact, all teams in the division lost, which pretty much is the NFL in a nutshell, isn't it?
Man, it's week to week in this thing. And our focus is this week in the Cleveland Browns, and we're less concerned about their recent issues and more concerned about our recent issues and opportunity to bounce back and get in the stadium and get another road divisional win. And can't stress that enough. To have 2 out of your first 3 games be road divisional games, it's an awesome challenge, but also a big opportunity, and we're leaning into it with that mentality.
What are the biggest challenges on a short week, especially against a team in the division?
Totality of plan, and it affects you in so many ways. Getting a keen understanding of how they utilize their weapons and how they distribute the ball around. It's just not a lot of time for that. Getting a really good feel for situational play and having detailed plans in that regard. Time is constricted, and so detailed plans relative to situational ball, you got to be cautious of and be thoughtful of. You want to do things that you know what to do, but you don't want to be so predictable that they're lying in wait for you. And so there's always the delicate balance on a short week of balancing new stuff with old stuff and the consequences of both.
When you look at Cleveland, they don't have Deshaun Watson. He's serving a suspension. They do have Jacoby Brissett, a guy you're familiar with. What are some of the things that he does and some of the problems he poses?
You know, I'm less concerned about who's playing quarterback for them and more concerned about how they operate. And to be honest with you, how they're operating to this point is very similar to how they've operated in recent years. They're a running back-centric group. We better be prepared to deal with Chubb and Hunt. The game is going through them, and Jacoby is finding his niche within that the same way that Baker Mayfield did. The play-action passing game is a big component of what they do. He's good in that area. The screen game, the misdirection game, he's really good and makes good, prudent decisions in those areas. And so I think that's what it means when you're talking about dealing with Jacoby. How they choose to supplement their run game, how they marry the play action to the running game, the misdirections in the screens, all of which they do a really good job of, and all of which he's done a really good job of over the course of his career. I would imagine that's why he was an attractive acquisition to them to deal with their present circumstance.
That run game allows them to throw the ball. When they do, Njoku's a guy you're familiar with. They brought in Amari Cooper, big guy also. Those two guys got to be, I'm sure, part of your focus down the field.
They are, but you know, those roles were occupied by significant guys a year ago, although different guys. You know, they had Beckham and Landry. Njoku was there a year ago. And to this point, it appears the distribution of the ball with the new cast of characters are very similar in that regard. And so it doesn't matter whether it's Cooper or whether it's Beckham or Landry. They're spreading the ball around to outside guys in one-on-one matchups. You better be prepared to deal with Njoku from an athleticism standpoint down the middle of the field. They're doing business very much in the same manner as they did it in 2021 to this point. We acknowledge when they get Deshaun Watson and his unique talents, that may change, but to this point, we're seeing some similar things that we saw in 2021.
If you look back at that Jets tape, they had success protecting Joe Flacco. That defense, which prides itself in getting to the quarterback, really didn't do it. Only 2 sacks plus. Flacco threw 4 touchdowns down the field. Anything you can learn from that game tape that would help you in this game?
Man, Joe Flacco is one of them dangerous veteran quarterbacks. You better be careful when he steps into a stadium. You're not getting a traditional backup. What you're getting is a former franchise quarterback. And on any given Sunday, those guys can take a game over and be the reasons why their teams win. And that's why you see guys like Joe Flacco repeatedly get opportunities to work. Guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick was, been on a myriad of teams. Those guys who are veteran guys and know what they're doing, have been franchise guys before. Geno in Seattle, they're beyond what you could describe as your average backup quarterback. Their experience speaks for itself. We had the luxury of that when we had guys like Charlie Batch and Byron Leftwich here in a backup capacity. Those aren't backups. Those are former franchise guys.
Cleveland and Pittsburgh coming at you on Thursday night. Should be an interesting game right off the bat in the AFC North. When we come back, we have some of the keys to the game, and it's a big one for the Steelers. We'll do that, Missy, in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Bob. The Steelers swept the Browns last season, but Cleveland has won their last 4 Thursday night football appearances. Still on tap, Merril Hoge draws up a playbook to show how Cleveland likes to attack teams on the ground and what the Steelers do well that can stop it. Now it's time for your Yins Chat trivia question. In the 2021 season, who had more tackles versus the Browns, Cam Hayward or Alex Highsmith? Find out after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Your Yinz Chat trivia answer is Alex Highsmith. Yinz Chat is the Steelers' official predictive and trivia game. Answer questions, make picks, and win prizes. Play Yinz Chat exclusively on the Steelers' official mobile app. Well, Highsmith and the Steelers defense will have their hands full tomorrow night. Browns running back Nick Chubb is coming off a 3-touchdown performance, and with his running mate Kareem Hunt, they are averaging 200 yards per game so far this season. For more on how the Steelers can minimize their efficiency on the ground, it's time for Merril Hoge's Playbook.
Hi everyone, welcome into, I usually say the Factor Back Studios, but we are not. We're at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Playbook, the AccuSure Playbook. And what we're going to focus on in the Playbook this week is the Steelers' run defense versus the Brown running attack. When I say the word blitz, what do you think? Most people think passing game, attacking the quarterback. Well, did you know that run blitzes are also a big component in affecting the run? The Steelers are pretty good at it. So let's first take a look at Cleveland in our AccuSure Playbook and what they do very well. I call it a pin-pull type of run. They run it strong side, weak side. They're very good at this type of run, but it's called a pin-pull. Now, that means that you got guys that are going to be good angle blocks. All these guys are kind of getting angle blocks, and they're going to pull the guard here. So they're pinning and they're pulling, and they're going to run it to the strong side. Now let's snap the ball here real quick, and you'll see it. Well, I mean, this couldn't be a bigger wall. Guys are pinning here, and then here's your guard coming around. You got pin, you got pull, and you have your runner in the canal here. Now, once you have all of those blocked, you can see how effective the Cleveland Browns really are. They run this well. Their runners are very good. They're very patient. It is a difficult running attack to handle. Now, what are some ways that you can disrupt the running attack? The Steelers did this actually against the Cincinnati Bengals. They run blitz it. Let's take a look at Edmonds right here off the slot. He's already peeking in. Now he's going to get in the backfield. Watch how quickly he gets in the backfield. This is a run blitz, and it allows Mika Fitzpatrick to get into the box, and it allows all these other defenders to be really effectively aggressive at the line of scrimmage because he's going to blow the run up. He's going to blow the run up simply by how quickly he gets into the backfield off of the run blitz. I want you to watch the runner and the ball exchange when it actually happens. As we snap the ball, now I want you to look at Edmonds already. I mean, he's already in the backfield. Number one killer in the running game, penetration, because this penetration here, without the ball carrier even getting the ball yet, you're forcing him right here. Well, when that happens, you have all of these unblocked defenders getting into the box. I mean, it's a great way to disrupt the running attack and affect the Cleveland Browns and how they run the football. So doing those type of things are going to be critical. Yes, you got to line up and you got to be able to attack the run with not run blitzing, but sprinkling in those run blitzes at times like they did against Cincinnati can really disrupt and put enormous pressure on the Cleveland Brown running attack. And if they control that area of the game, they control the game.
All right, thanks so much, Merril. And with a second game looming just 4 days later, the Steelers did not have time this week to dwell on their first loss of the season. Thursday night football, AFC North matchup on the road. Let's check in one final time with Bob Pompeani, who's with Coach Tomlin, to get the keys to the game presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Bob.
Coach, anytime you play one of these games, a lot of things come into play. I want to start with special teams just because they have such a big impact. And this division is loaded with some of the best kickers all of a sudden. They brought in Cade York. He had a 58-yarder early on. You know, special teams, we don't talk a lot about it, but in games like this, and it seems like every week you go down to the final, minutes of the game, kickers are big.
Whether it's talked about, rest assured, we give it its just due. Special teams is going to play out big, particularly in divisional games where there's familiarity. The strategic component of special teams, when you're really familiar, is an awesome aspect of play. We've had some games up there where it's been really significant. They knocked Boz out of the game up there last year. That was a significant component in terms of how the game played out. We were trying to gadget play in the special teams game there. A few years ago, we blocked the first punt of the game for a score, and that kind of set the stage in terms of getting us started up there. The special teams component is and always will be big. and particularly in this divisional play.
Talk about the offense, your offense specifically. What do you have to do? Can you expand some of the playbook? Is it a matter of that or a matter of just executing what plays are called better?
You know, we can expand the playbook, but probably less likely so on a short week. I think the playbook gets expanded by understanding. I think with each passing week, the better that we understand concepts, the more you can get out of them, the more mileage they have on them, the more you can apply them to different circumstances in different ways. And so plays themselves are just a component of it, but the understanding of the play really makes it versatile. And I think that we're a group in growth and development in those areas.
Stopping the run game is obviously very important. You did it with Joe Mixon in week 1. In week 2, not so much. This is one of the better run games. What do you do to stop it schematically?
You know, we got to make tackles, obviously. We're going to employ enough people, enough numbers, but that's just a component of it. If it was just numbers, man, Chubb wouldn't do what he does repeatedly to people. He gets in one-on-one circumstances and he wins and wins often, as does Hunt, particularly when he's matched up against defensive backs. Their perimeter game is excellent, whether it's tosses or outside zone plays and things of that nature, or plays that he simply bounces to the perimeter. We got to do a really good job of minimizing his opportunities to be in one-on-one circumstances with DBs, and when he is, our DBs got to do the job, and that's the battle when you're fighting a running back of his caliber and a running game centered around those talents.
Coach, all the best this week. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin, another edition of the Mike Tomlin Show. Getting set for the Cleveland Browns tomorrow night in Cleveland. We'll have you covered with pregame activities on KDKA and, of course, all Steeler digital platforms. That's going to do it for Missy Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin. I'm Bob Pompeani. We'll see you again next weekend as the Steelers get ready for the Jets and a home game. Have a good week.